the floor. Need
Yes.
to unmute,
Am I
yes.
able to show some slides? Can I share my screen?
Yeah, yeah,
Yes, I
sure.
think I can.
Yep, carry on.
Okay. Okay. Hopefully you can see that. Let me just do that in presenter mode. Okay. I'll be quick. So thank you all for being here today. My name is Bibi. I work as an organizer with the organization Tipping Point UK. And we're basically a climate justice organization that support different grassroots campaigns, mostly climate related, but there's so much that intersects with climate. So it's also migrant justice. It focuses on abolition, anything that's anti-imperialist, basically. And today I'm talking to you quickly about the Stop Rosebank campaign. And Rosebank is the biggest undeveloped oil and gas fields in the North Sea. And the government approved Equinor, the company behind Rosebank's, approved its bid to develop this oil field. And Equinor is a Norwegian state-owned company. And this is a massive, massive oil field. If it goes ahead, which we're trying to stop it, even though it's been approved by the government, it would create more CO2 than the 28 countries combined, 28 lowest income countries, which is the equivalent of 700 million people. So it's huge. And, it's not just an issue that is isolated to the UK. This affects millions of people around the world. We are living in a time where we see, flooding, fires, and this oil field would massively affect communities, in the Caribbean, in Africa, where climate change is really affecting them and is part of their daily struggle. So what is the Rosebank campaign, or Stop Rosebank? So we're a large network of groups, organizations, and individuals all using a wide range of tactics to urge the UK to stop this oil field, but also all new oil and gas fields in line with their commitments to the Paris Agreement, and to plan and fund a just transition. So a couple of updates. You may have heard of this campaign before. And basically the most recent development is that we are taking the UK government to court. So in September last year, they approved this oil field. And we know that this oil field is not compatible with a safe climate or livable future. So therefore, we are taking them to court over morally and economic reasons. The government claims that drilling this field would be compatible with the UK's obligations, but that's not true. And we're planning on proving this in court. And we're not filing just one legal case, we're doing two separate ones. One is held by Greenpeace UK and the other one is by Uplift. And both cases will be heard in the Court of Session in Edinburgh, hopefully this June, but this is the second time it's been moved. So we have to wait and see if that will be in June. But we really hold a strong belief that we will be successful on this case. And if we do, then it will also set a precedent for other oil fields. So what's like our reasoning for that? So the government has failed to assess both the emissions generated from burning Rosebank's oil, and they're also downplaying the disastrous marine impacts of the project. So the oil field actually cuts across all these marine protected areas that are home to loads of diverse species. And this would put those species at risk. And then our other reasoning is that it's not compatible with the UK's commitment for a safe climate. Government agencies shouldn't be allowed to approve oil fields that breach those targets. Our government has a very much a history and trend of not sticking to their own set targets. Then you may have seen the development of the Offshore Petroleum Licensing Bill. This is a bill that went through its second reading recently through Parliament, and it's basically legislation to allow for an annual session of approving more oil and gas licenses. And obviously, if this legislation comes into place, it will massively weaken climate ambition and move the goal for an industry that is already failing to reduce its emissions. The public at large, like already knows that this having new oil and gas is not going to do anything for our energy security, and polls show that renewables is far more popular. Also, the government just came out itself and said that actually admitted for the first time to a parliamentary question that this oil field will not bolster our energy security because 80% of the oil will be exported. So it's really just multinational companies profiting from a crisis and the government facilitating that. And also the regulator for oil and gas has also said that the legislation isn't necessary. It already has the authority to run annual licensing rounds, and it has done so for the past decade. So this is just a political ploy to pretend that it does something good, even though it doesn't. And then finally, to end on is you also may have seen another development, which is that the government had announced 24 new oil and gas licenses in the North Sea. We know that this is purely political posturing. New licenses, like I said before, do very little to boost the UK's energy security. We actually have very little oil and gas left in the North Sea, and whatever is left will be getting exported. So it's just the government really grasping at straws to for gearing up to the next general election. One small note important to say, we see most likely are expecting a Labour government to come in maybe November when the elections are. And Rosebank the Keir Starmer has said that he has to honour the license for Rosebank and that he cannot reverse the decision on approval. However, we plan on pressuring that also through the court case, because if we win the case, it'll be difficult for him to say that it has to go ahead. So hopefully, we're very confident that we will win, and hopefully it sets an example for the rest, and we can safeguard our future. And I'll end it here. Thank you for listening.
Great. Thank you so much, Bibi. I'm really applaud the work you do and the activists. I noticed the hostile environment in which you do that work, with so many activists being imprisoned and fined and restricted in all kinds of ways. People fighting to save this planet. And you get these imperialists and capitalists determined to destroy this planet, and all of us with it. So I applaud your work, and remember, Colin CLS, you're on the executive, so let us know where you want us, that we can appear at times to join those protests, to add our voice to the madness really of this government, imprisoning the people who are fighting to save this planet. It's just outrageous. Okay, I see, but I noticed at least one judge has come out and spoken against those harsh sentences. So there's some support in the legal profession, but mostly they've just been despicable. Okay.